Hello friends, welcome to my channel How To. So in this video, I am going to explain what is factory design pattern in C Sharp with example and how to implement it. So the factory design pattern is one of the most used design patterns in real-time applications. The factory design pattern in C Sharp falls under the category of creational design patterns. In factory design pattern, we create the object without exposing a creation logic to the client. The basic principle which is behind the factory design pattern is that at runtime, we get an object of similar type based upon the parameter that we are passing. So the client will get the appropriate object and then it will consume that object without knowing how that object is created and initialized. So let's get started with some example. So first of all, let me open my Visual Studio. Then I will create one sample project. For demo purpose, I am taking the console app. I am giving some name to my application. You can give the name as per your choice. Then click on next, select the framework and click on create. And over here you can see we have successfully created a console application. Now for our demo purpose, let me create one interface. So I'm adding one interface. I am giving the name of the interface as a I invoice, as our example is related to invoice. So we have created one invoice with name I invoice, and this I invoice we will have one method which will return the string, and the name of the method is print invoice. So in this way we have declared one method which will return a string, and the name of the method is print invoice. So we will create another class. So let me add a new class. As we know that in finance, there are two types of invoices, such as sales invoice and purchase invoice. So we will create a class, we will create a two class. With name sales invoice. Then we will create another class with name purchase invoice. So if you can see, we have created the two class. One is the sales invoice and one is the purchase invoice. So we will make this class as a public. You can keep the access modifier as per your requirement. Now this interface has one method called as print invoice. And as we know that the invoice only provide the declaration of its methods, and the implementation of those methods are provided by class inheriting them. So this sales invoice class is now derived from I invoice. So as this class is derived from the I invoice, we need to implement the method which is declared in this invoice. So let's click on the implement interface. So this is the method that we want to implement, and simply I'm just want to return a string. This is sales invoice. Similarly, open the purchase invoice. This purchase invoice, this class is also derived from the I invoice. So we need to provide the implementation of interface method. So from here, we will return a string which is saying that this is purchase invoice. So in this way, we have created one interface with one method, and the implementation of that method is provided by the two classes. One is purchase invoice and one is the sales invoice. And both the classes now have the definition of this print invoice method. Now, in the factory design pattern, we need to create one class called as factory class. So let's add a new class with name invoice factory. Let's make this class as a public static class. So in factory design pattern, as the name implies, the factory, it is a factory of object. So the factory design pattern simplifies the object creation. So we do not need to worry about the object creation. So we just need to pass the parameter, and based upon the parameter, the factory will provide you the object or the instance of class. So let's declare one method, static method, which will return the I invoice, and let's give the name as get invoice object. So for this method, the parameter will be type, where it will say that whether it is a purchase invoice or sales invoice. So let's create one instantiate one variable with I invoice. We are making this method as a nullable. Now, based upon the parameter here, we will check if type. If you have multiple parameters or multiple checking, you can use the switch case. In my case, I'm just taking the two invoices. So if the type equal to sales, if the client program is passing the parameter as a sales, then we will create the instance of sales invoice class. So invoice equal to new sales invoice. Then we will check the another condition, if type equal to purchase, then we will assign or we will create the instance of purchase invoice class. So now go to the program.cs, which is a client program. Now we will call a static method. So let's add this namespace factory.design. So we have one class called as invoice factory, and we have a method called as get invoice object. And to this method, we need to pass a parameter. For example, I'm passing sales. Now we need to store it in one object. I'm giving a name called as invoice object. Then we need to, as we have the instance of the class, we need to call a method invoice object dot print invoice, and we want to print the output of this method. So I'm just putting the console.writeLine. So let's run the program. And over here you can see we got the output. This is sales invoice. So what happened in the background? So whenever this program get executed, we have passed the parameter called as sales. This parameter is passed to the get invoice object, and this is the client program, and this client program does not know how the instance of the class is created. So whenever this parameter is passed to this method, based upon the type of parameter, this factory method is create, or this factory class is creating the instance of the particular invoice classes. So in this way, we can implement a factory design pattern. So that's all. Thanks for watching my video. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel how to. Thanks a lot.